It all started with one fight. Petr Yan would defend his belt against Aljamain Sterling, one of the bantamweight division's top contenders.
I'm gonna say Yan, but Sterling. I think he'll get it. I think he'll get it to the ground, but I gotta go with Petr Yan.
The fight was going well for Yan, a fight which he was winning, a fight that everyone expected him to win, in a division where everyone expected him to be the dominating champion for the foreseeable future. However, one fight turned into one illegal knee.
He was disqualified and his belt was taken away.
You have a fighter who was so egregious in cheating that he was disqualified.
A knee that disqualified Yan and saw Sterling the newly crowned bantamweight champion.
And then he kneed you in the face, which was totally illegal. So he got bad advice from his own corner.
Do I think that the knee was intentional? Yeah, he threw the knee.
And one of his coaches was yelling, just punches, just punches.
It was a good fight. I mean, that was a fight that everybody was excited about tonight. Everybody knew it was going to be good, and that's a bad one.
For Aljamain, he was on top of the world.
Everything I worked for, man, like to this point, and to have the fight go like that, that's not the way I wanted to win. That's not the way I envisioned this.
But for Yan, this one mistake would be one of the costliest mistakes of his career. The year was 1993. Yan was born in Dedinka, Russia, to a father of Chinese and Russian descent and a mother of Russian and Georgian descent. Petr would grow up in an Orthodox Christian household, alongside his brother, who had a significant impact on his career. But as a young child, he often fought in the streets with random people and at his school with other students. Due to this, his family moved around frequently to prevent this behavior.
I heard that your friends, Petr, are calling you the Siberian gangster. Why do they call you the Siberian gangster?
Because I grew up in Siberia and I was raised in gangster-like circumstances, on the street. I was a little bit nasty when I was growing up. I was a hooligan, and maybe like as a joke, my friends call me a gangster.
However, Yan had such a big fighting problem that his family sought to find a healthy outlet for him to deal with his rage. With soccer and other sports not being enough of an outlet for him, his family allowed him to start training ITF Taekwondo in the 6th grade. Therefore, although he enjoyed the sport, he seeked something more. And it just so happened that his older brother was involved in boxing, and due to his influence, Yan wanted to learn too.
When you have an older brother, especially when we have a 4-year difference, older brother doesn't really want to take care of you, take responsibility. And that's why, he always want to keep you away in your company, away from his company.
But initially, his older brother refused to take Petr along with him. So he would sneak to follow his brother into the gym to learn boxing.
And maybe because I had an example of my brother in front of me doing these things, that's why I choose this path. And maybe that's why I also overcome him and became better than him on this path.
Therefore, from this point on, Yan was addicted, training boxing for 8 years. Alongside this, Petr graduated from the Siberian Federal University in the city of Omsk, ambitious in all aspects of life, and with his mind set on bigger things, Yan would put a stop to his boxing. So, he made his transition to mixed martial arts, debuting as an amateur in the Cup of Russia 2014, before making his official MMA debut in December of 2014 in Baikal Storm against Murad Bukayev, winning via 3rd round knockout. However, it was this impressive victory that presented new opportunities to Yan, signing with Russian promotion Absolute Championship Berkut, continuing his winning streak against opponents who had a lot more experience than him. But facing more experienced opponents would eventually catch up, facing Magomed Magomedov in his 6th professional fight for the ACB Bantamweight Championship in March of 2016. Therefore, after the fight went the distance, Yan would come up short, losing the bout via split decision. Although this loss was Yan's reality, many felt like he had done enough to win the fight, including ACB President Mirbek Kasiev, who promised to book a rematch in the future. However, Yan attributes the mental mental fortitude he developed to his upbringing in his homeland, knowing that one minor setback wasn't going to hold him back. Siberia is quite a cold and harsh place where people just survive rather than actually live. From early childhood, you are on your own, said Jan. With this mentality, Petr couldn't do anything but bounce back, beating Ed Arthur in his return to the octagon before sealing himself a ticket against previous rival Magomedov in a fight he believed he had won. But this time, the result was going to be different, exacting his revenge and beating Magomedov by unanimous decision, therefore officially being crowned as the ACB Bantamweight champion. And although he was on top of the world, Jan knew there was so much more to do. So like any great champion, he would defend his belt, knocking Matus Matos out in the third round of his first title defense, stamping his name as one of the greatest mixed martial artists in the region, signing a 4-fight deal with the UFC. So just like that, his debut fight in the UFC was booked against Teruto Ishihara in June of 2018, where he would win by first round knockout. But this momentum wouldn't stop for Jan either, stacking 5 more wins in a row, and in the last of those 5 fights, he faced Uriah Faber in December of 2019, which cemented his inevitable shot at UFC Gold.
Is this how you expected your UFC run to go thus far?
I didn't expect things goes this way, but we're working hard and everything's going right, so we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. I never envisioned my fight to go anyway. I just come to win, and I'm very glad I did it.
From this point, it seemed like Jan was unbeatable.
Came in Abu Dhabi, we wait my fight with Jose Aldo. It's good fighter, it's legends in UFC. I'm wanna beat him, yes.
With a fight against Jose Aldo around the corner for the vacant bantamweight belt, it seemed like no one would stop him, and no one did, dominating Aldo, winning nearly every round and securing the victory with a 5th round knockout.
Yes, that was exactly our plan. In the beginning, we wanted to put a pressure on him, make him tired.
Jan is so good though. I think Jan could be champion for a very long time.
However, there was one thing that seemed off. With COVID slowing down the sport, and with Petr pulling out of his first title defense against Aljamain Sterling, it would be 9 months before Jan appeared in the octagon once again. But when he stepped back into the cage, his fight against Aljo was going smoothly, almost too smoothly, with Petr being up on 2 of the judges' scorecards, seemingly dominating the fight. It looked like Jan was going to defend his belt with ease. However, with just over 30 seconds to go in the 4th round, Jan would land a knee that would cost him his belt, landing an illegal knee to a grounded opponent. For Aljamain Sterling, he was the new UFC Bantamweight champion of the world, due to one small mistake.
Everything I worked for, man, like to this point, and to have the fight go like that, that's not the way I wanted to win. That's not the way I envisioned this.
Of course I will be very upset if there's no rematch, but I'm already upset a lot.
But for Jan, this one mistake would be one of the costliest mistakes of his career.
Do I think that the knee was intentional? Yeah. Yeah. He threw the knee.
And one of his coaches was yelling, just punches, just punches.
It was a good fight. I mean, that was a fight that everybody was excited about tonight. Everybody knew it was going to be good, and that's a bad one.
Therefore, following this mistake, Petr would bounce back, winning the interim championship against Corey Sandhagen, which gave him another opportunity to win the bantamweight belt back. The belt he had truly never lost, a belt he believed was still his.
And after the fight, Saturday night, everyone gonna forget about him. Just another clowns are gonna be forgotten. Yes, of course, I'm happy to be here. I feel like I'm at home, and I hope we're gonna close all the questions this week. I want to make sure there won't be no questions left after that, and I will make sure there will be no questions left.
However, yet again, in another grueling fight that went the distance, just like the first loss against Magomedov, Jan would lose by split decision.
Yeah, I thought that the judges blew that one. I thought I had it 3-2 the other way.
I think I won this fight, and I got dropped.
Although the fight was very close, this time his game plan didn't work, as Jan observes his opponents, taking his time for his aggression and effectiveness to build over the course of the fight until he breaks his opponents down. But this time, he just didn't do enough. I don't know if his confidence was knocked, but a glimpse of the fight showed that Petr didn't look like the same fighter he once was. But it didn't matter. The fight was over and the result was final. All he could do now was bounce back. This time, it was against Sean O'Malley.
I'm gonna smash Petr. How about that? Is that a better answer?
Saturday night, I'm gonna beat him. It's not about the height. Just look at him. He's like a whore on the side of the road.
However, once again, Petr would fall short in a very close fight. A fight that most people believed he won once again.
Petr, tough dude, man. Tough Russian right there. So that dude's good. He was the #1 guy in the world.
It's one of those razor-thin close fights. I could see people saying Jan won the fight. I could see people saying O'Malley won the fight.
This cycle was becoming almost too familiar for Jan, falling short even though it looked like he won many of these bouts. Therefore, Jan would step back into the cage once again for a shot at redemption. But another fight against Merab Dvalishvili showed how low Petr had truly fallen, with all three judges scoring the fight 50-45 in favor of Merab.
Feels great, you know. I outstrike one of the best strikers in UFC, and I'm happy, you know.
Jan had reached an all-time low. From being on top of the bantamweight division to losing 3 fights in a row, what was next for Jan? What else could he do? Well, there was nothing else he could do but fight. However, with his next bout scheduled against the hungry prospect in Song Yudong, Petr would have to bounce back or his career looked like it could have been over. Like so many other champions before him that had fallen from grace, Jan couldn't let this happen to himself.
Yeah, it's been a year since my last fight. I had a good time, had a good rest, and even missed this fight week atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. This fight is most important in my life so far.
So it began, one of, if not the most important fight of his career. As Jan is known to do, he started off the fight slowly, losing the first round. In a 5-round fight, this wouldn't be a big deal, but this time he was only fighting 3 rounds. But as the fight got taken to a decision, after going the distance, winning the last 2 rounds, Petr had done enough to secure the victory. It may not have been his best fight, but all he needed was to regain his confidence and to build some momentum.
I'm very happy come back, and it was good time for me and best place.
And he's a good and tough opponent, but my boxing was better.
And that's exactly what he did. So with another win under his belt, 8 months later, Petr would have the opportunity to fight former flyweight champion Davison Figueiredo. With the momentum he had gained, Jan no longer looked like a shell of his former self, putting on a masterful performance and showing that he still had the champion instinct in him, therefore winning the fight 50-45 on all judges' scorecards.
I win 2 fights, win 2 good fighters. It's Sonya Dong, his top fight, same Figueiredo. I believe title fight.
Where I think Petr Yan, he wants the next title shot.
Displaying that he truly is a real contender and he still has what it takes to fight the best of the best and come out victorious.
Petr, 50-45s rather, across the board. You left absolutely no doubt. How would you assess the performance here in Macau this evening?
You know, it's only 8 months since my surgery. I had a rehab, my knee. And, you know, I think after 8 months layoff, it's not a bad performance.
I have to have a conversation about whether or not you're one of the #1 best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet. I think you are approaching that. That's how good you are.
We just got done talking about him. Is he just a straight fucking killer?
Peter's one of my favorite guys. Period, bro. To watch fight since his first fight in the UFC.
We were just talking about him. Man, he is
love this guy,
killer.
Bro.
However, although this journey hasn't been easy for Jan, through the hardship, Jan has only built himself into a better man outside the octagon and a more formidable opponent inside the cage, being a true leader for his family and his team in the gym. But with an upcoming bout against number 13 ranked Marcus McGee, Petr knows he has what it takes to regain the bantamweight belt back that he believes is rightfully his.